Hello and welcome to Wednesday night Niall Fraser Show, 9 p.m. on the nose. So we've got quite a lineup this evening. Unfortunately, we've got the sad news of another fatal stabbing spree in Germany. So we're going to go through all that with horrible news over there. We've got the Swinney hates Scots. Swinney hates native Scots. Full-blown John wants more migrants for Scotland. And this is on the day that we've seen this fatal stabbing by a migrant in Germany. We've got Lightspeed Trump with the executive orders, and we'll be going through some of the papers. This one is from today, and it's regarding Peter Murrell. Oh, it's Sturgeon's ex now. Sturgeon's ex. That's why they can go after him. And I think this is yesterday's paper. Killer's jail sex row. What a calamity here. And it's Trump. There's Trump on the front page. Here we go again. Right. All that and more coming up on the Niall Fraser Show. But first and foremost, the intro music. Hello and welcome to the Niall Fraser Show. Welcome. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube. We've almost got 100 viewers already, and only one viewer on YouTube. This is pitiful stuff. Pitiful numbers. If you can do me a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, like it, comment on it, and if you could share the broadcast on X, that would be brilliant, because we've got a lot to go through. It might take quite a while this evening as well to go through all the stories. Oh, and we start off with the worst bit this evening, ladies and gentlemen. The worst bit this evening. Let me get that banner off the there. It's very, very sorely predictable. Very sorely predictable. And it's sad that we live in a society where these things are just commonplace. But we've had another mass stabbing spree in Germany this time. At a park. And a 2-year-old child has died. And, having a son that is almost 1 year old now, it just makes it unthinkable, like how somebody could plunge a knife into an innocent toddler like that. It's derangement, it's insane, it's despicable, and we all know what should happen to these people. Anyway, we're going to look at the story, we're going to look at some of the reactions. Is Amazon to blame? Is Amazon.de to blame, on this stabbing? Is this what the German government is going to go with? They're going to go with, let's blame Amazon. The guy acquired the knife on Amazon. It's their fault. It's Jeff Bezos' fault. But let's bring up the story, and let's get rolling, shall we? Right. Germany mass stabbing, 2 dead, including a toddler too, as police arrest an asylum seeker. People who should not have been here, should not be in Germany in the first place. So let's read through it. And it's still very raw. This has just happened today, and I'm sure the people in Germany are still reeling from this. Anyone that's got a child will understand just how brutal this is. It's unthinkable. You can't even put it into words just how despicable this is. But yet 2 people, including a toddler, have been killed in a knife attack in a park in Germany. 2 people, including a 2-year-old child, have been killed in a stabbing attack in a park on Wednesday morning. Police arrested a 28-year-old Afghan national shortly after the attack, which also left 2 other people seriously injured. Police, which is appealing for more information from members of the public, said the suspect was arrested near the scene, Schoental Park, located in the Bavarian city of Aschaffenburg in Germany. According to German newspaper Der Spiegel, the detained man is an asylum seeker. Local media reports the man was seen being detained and taken away in a headlock. While police didn't share the nationality of the 2 victims, they revealed the other person who died following the stabbing was a 41-year-old man. Police spokesperson moved to reassure the German public, stating, "We can rule out terrorism with almost absolute certainty." So, the same thing that plays out on the streets of Britain, play out on the streets of Germany, and play out in the streets right across Europe. Anywhere there's been mass immigration, these things just so predictably happen time and time again. Oh, and terrorism has been ruled out. This is terrorism against the state. This is terrorism against the German way of life. Our Southport attacker is terrorism against Britain. Don't care what newfangled terminology that Keir Starmer wants to bring out. It's terrorism against. Let's just wait for it. But I guarantee you that these victims were white. Sometimes you just think this is terrorism against white people, but you can't call it out. That it's irresponsible to call that stuff out, when in actuality, it's generally always white victims in these stabbing attacks, committed by Afghan nationals, by asylum seekers. by fake asylum seekers, by immigrants who just want to cause absolute carnage, that come to these countries, come to our countries, and just think that everything's up for grabs. So let's finish this story. I really want to get after this story really quickly. It's actually shocking. Shawnital Park remains cordoned off with a heavy police presence remains in the area. A Schaffenburg Criminal Investigation Department has taken over the investigation and is also asking for information from the public. Schwentel Park, an English-style garden in the Bavarian city, was classified as a dangerous place in November after a string of drug incidents, including assault and robbery, according to Police Chief Frank Eckhart. And what is Olaf Scholz says? Oh, he's tired of seeing such acts of violence. Oh, aye. You and me is what, you and everyone else in Europe. You and everyone else in Europe, Olaf. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said he is tired of seeing such acts of violence after the latest violent attack in the town of Aschaffenburg. Posting on X, he said it is an unbelievable act of terror in Aschaffenburg. Among the dead is a small child. Our condolences go out to the victims and their families. But that's not enough. I'm tired of seeing such acts of violence happen here every few weeks. How can they, how can you actually be in government and see these things happen every few weeks and do nothing? And do nothing time and time again. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. But that isn't enough. I'm tired of seeing such acts of violence happen here every few weeks by perpetrators who actually came to us to find protection. So he says, and so he thinks. They didn't come to find protection. These fake asylum seekers are not here to find protection. What utter nonsense. We need to be protected by these people, not the other way around. They didn't go to Germany to find protection. They didn't come to Britain to find protection. Absolute hogwash. Just a lot of pish. That's what it is. Misunderstood tolerance is completely inappropriate here. The authorities must work urgently to find out why the attacker is still in Germany. The findings must be followed immediately. Talking is not enough. Well, there we go. We agree. Several children affected by the attack. According to the police spokesperson, 4 people were affected by the attack, including several children. So, this could have been another Southport. This could have been another one in Germany. Hopefully everyone involved in this pulls through. 2 people have been confirmed killed in an attack, 2-year-old child and a 41-year-old. And it's unthinkable. It's actually unthinkable. Ask yourself how despicable and deranged you have to be. How insane, how full of hatred. Who in their right mind can plunge a knife into a 2-year-old child, and a child that's just the picture of innocence? It's a person that's at war with us. And I'll say it again. I said it last week. All these things. This perpetrator should be put to death. They should be put to death. If you, I keep getting. Well, I didn't keep getting banned. I got banned on Twitter for even suggesting that the Southport attacker should have been put to death. And this sort of it goes back into the Trump stuff we'll be talking later on. But one of his executive orders was reinforcing the death penalty. Happens time and time again. Time and time again. Anyway, guys, we're almost at 150 viewers. Please do share the broadcast. Come on in. We're just getting started. But today, this show, I want to ask the question: how many more fatal stabbing sprees are we going to take? When will the stabbing end? When will the stabbing stop? When will they stop? When will these terror incidents stop? When? This is it. Well, How many times our society is going to accept this before they say, actually, I think mass immigration was a big mistake. A mistake that, when you think about it, how many fatal stabbing sprees, how many terror attacks could we have avoided without mass immigration? How many lives could have been saved? How many people would still be alive today if it weren't for the societal cancer that is mass immigration and just allowing unchecked asylum seekers, which we know they're all fake. We know it's BS. We know it's a lot of crap. The societal cancer that is mass immigration has done this. We've allowed cultures so alien to Western societies, so vehemently opposed, that harbour such resentment, that harbour such hatred towards Western societies in general, and we just allow them in, and they perpetrate these acts of terror. I mean, they rule out terror in this article immediately. It's anti-Western terrorism. That's what it is. It's, how many more of these can society take before we hit boiling point? You know what I mean? It's we've got all these parties right across Europe. AFD, we've got Marine Le Pen in France, we've got Reform in Britain. I mean, how many more of these attacks? They all just feed into the rise of the right wing of politics. They all do. How many more of these can societies take? This is what I'm saying. And if we reverse time, and stopped mass immigration at the cause right then and there, how many more people would be alive today? How many more children would be alive today? It's the societal cancer that is mass immigration that is killing members of all our societies, citizens right across the West. And yet nobody seems to bat an eye. Well, they're beginning to bat an eye because we're seeing just the rise of the right wing of politics, the far right, according to everyone else. They're not far right, they're just right. So, I did say I want to get off this topic very quickly, but what we will do is we'll start looking at some reactions. And, I don't even want to call, it's just one of these things where it's like, just take yourself out of the situation and you think a 2-year-old child's been killed by some psychopath. A psychopath that shouldn't be here, that shouldn't be in Germany. And at least Olaf Scholz is starting to begin to ask the right questions. Why is he here? Maybe the death penalty should be reinstated right across the West for crimes like this. Surely life imprisonment is too good. Life imprisonment is too good. It's not a deterrent. It's not a deterrent for these people at all. They should know that if you kill a child, that you will be put to death. It's not enough. We need to reinstate the death penalty. It's just a matter of course right across the West in order to protect justice from falling apart. Because, I mean, what will happen here? It was the same thing that happened when I thought things were going to get really, really sketchy in Ireland. Remember, there was a attack on children in Ireland not too long ago. And I thought this is going to kick off massively. And it's no long before vigilantism starts to come back. As long as people they're not getting their justice, or at least they don't feel like they're going to get justice, that's when mob justice comes into effect. And that's where I think we're going. So let's hear Darren Grimes, horror in Aschaffenburg, Germany. An Afghan man launched a knife attack on a daycare group, killing 2 people, including a 2-year-old child. I hate what comes up on the side. It's so annoying. God rest you, sir. I am so sorry. The attack took place in Shontal Park, where the suspect, 28-year-old Afghan, specifically targeted the children. And this is the thing. You know, this is, well, we don't we talk about China enough, but you don't get many gun crimes in China. You don't get many school shootings in China. But what you do get in China, and this was a problem for a very long time, it was, you got, these terrorist attacks in China perpetrated by their own people. China's very, very controlled, very insular. And what was happening in China is there was loads of knife attacks by Chinese citizens going into primary schools, daycare centres, and just stabbing as many kids as they could. And the Chinese were calling it, it's an attack on society, they were saying, people working, I think it was like, 7-12 or something, 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, just to make it past in China. And they were saying that was the root cause of all these things. But, China started deeming them, terror attack on society. People were going into schools in China and just stabbing as many kids as they possibly could. And nobody could understand why. Nobody in China could really put their finger on the pulse and say, why is this? Why is this? Well, we're starting to see the same things happen right across Europe. It's a bit more clear cut here, because it's immigrants that are causing these, that are taking the lives of these children. It's asylum seekers. This BS term. They shouldn't be here. The brutal assault is a shocking reminder of the dangers Europe faces thanks to our politicians. Absolutely spot on, Darren. The park was recently classified as a dangerous place. How many more tragedies will take place before action is taken? And this is the question that we're asking ourselves today. When will the stabbings stop? When will they stop? Well, I mean, if you ask me, they'll stop when we reinstate the death penalty as a matter of course. We reinstate the death penalty, and we just turn off the taps of mass immigration. We stop all the boats. In our case, in Britain, we stop all the boats. We stop people arriving here illegally. We take every single migrant hotel, empty them, and we empty them back to where they came from. They cannot remain. They cannot remain here. That's when the stabbings will stop. That's when these terror incidents will stop. And let's just start deeming it a terrorism, anti-Western terrorism. Let's, if Keir Starmer wants to come out here, it's a new form of terrorism. Well, let's deem it anti-Western terrorism. Let's come up with our own term. And that's what it is. Anti-white terrorism. And we might play the white video. I made a white video a while back, but if we've got time. We're almost at 200 viewers, guys. We're coming off the sad story, and you might want to share it now. So we're coming off it. We're going to see some more reactions. But as we get into the story, it really does pain me to read these things. And it's just, you can't help but empathize and put yourself in the situation. If you're at the park with your son, your daughter, and some guy starts running it with a knife, it is absolutely unthinkable. Not even running at you, running at your child with a knife. Running at other children with a knife. What do you do? Well, I think any man in the audience worth their salt listening to this would say that they would absolutely stand in the way of this man. Deaf or no. Deaf or no. I mean, we're going to come after it. I actually can't bear to talk about this if I'm honest. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. I mean, that we know what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. We need to stop all these immigrants arriving all across Europe. We need to stop all the boats arriving. It's becoming farcical at this point. And we need to start going after all the politicians that allowed this to happen in the first place. All the politicians that said it's a good thing, that say diversity is our strength, when actually it's a huge weakness. Diversity isn't anyone's strength. It's not a society's strength, is it? We need to start deconstructing all these BS arguments that we need immigrants. We don't. We don't need them. And we'll be talking about John Swinney. Full-on John Swinney wants more immigrants. And we'll be dismantling his argument later on. But he wants immigration for a different reason. But we'll go into that later on. Let's see some more reactions. I've got too many bookmarks. I wish I didn't click it and it went to the side. That would be really quite helpful, Twitter, if you're listening. Leo Chaos. A stabbing in the German city of Aschaffenburg today left a 41-year-old man and a toddler dead. A 28-year-old suspect from Afghanistan is in custody. Police say the motives of the attack are still unclear. Why is he posting that? Because we know the motive. He hates the West. This man hates the West. How many more children are Western governments willing to sacrifice on the altar of left-wing dreams? Well said, Leo. Well said. I mean, it doesn't bear to think about. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send in comments. Good evening, everyone from the Scorpion. I don't get much interaction on Twitter. I don't know why that is. We got 220 viewers, and only 2 of them are on YouTube, and that's where the comments are coming from. So if you want to put a comment in, maybe you want to switch over to YouTube, put a comment in. But I'm actually getting really quite annoyed at the viewership we're getting, because we're getting really good numbers here, but we don't get much interaction. I think that a lot of people are saying that it's annoying when you watch a video on Twitter or you watch a broadcast on Twitter. It's actually quite annoying to comment without coming out. So maybe that's something that Elon Musk needs to fix. But this is the question we're asking ourselves just before we depart from the story: is how many fatal stabbing sprees, how many terror attacks could we have avoided, and how many lives could have been saved, and how many people would be still here today if it weren't for the societal cancer that is mass immigration? Answers on a postcard. But we'll come away from that now, and we're going to go to our new segment, which is John Swinney. John Swinney hates the Scots. This is what I'm titling this next segment is. We are sort of Scottish based, so we do like to focus on Scotland, although the last show was sort of Trump based, but I mean, you can't really blame me for that. It was the news. John Swinney hates Scots. Full-blown John wants more migrants for Scotland. And he's barking up the wrong tree. He's barking up the wrong tree, especially with the backdrop of all these things happening in Europe. The backdrop of the Southport attack, the backdrop of this despicable crimes that these migrants are committing, either short-term or long-term. If they're here for a while, if they're here for a short term, crimes are being committed. Some lesser than others, some of the absolute most extreme crimes. And the SNP have given up the goat for trying to serve us, actual Scots. They've given up the goat, and they want more new Scots, what they deem new Scots, which is just another term for if you arrive here, if you plant your feet on Scottish soil, you can claim to be a new Scot. What a lot of crap. What a lot of crap. And the SNP have never changed. They never got over the 2014 referendum. They never could ever get over it. And instead of packing their bags, folding up their jotters, putting it, away, and saying, you know what, we gave it a go, but independence isn't happening. No, they doubled down. Alex Salmond at least had the dignity to leave when the referendum result ended up in a loss for him. At least he had the dignity to leave. Where the SNP just they brought in their new shill, Nicola Sturgeon, and we'll be talking about her later on as well. But they brought in their new shill, Nicola Sturgeon, and they just doubled down on independence. They doubled down, and they thought about more creative means, more nefarious means of gaining what they want, of paving this yellow brick road to independence. They just thought of more creative, more destructive means, more devious means. It's like Pinky in the Brain. It's like, what are we going to do today, Brain? Oh, well, we're going to plot to take over the world. This is what they talk about in SNP circles when they're not all totally on drugs. So the SNP, let's remind ourselves of just who exactly they are. So let me do a wee bit of Googling. Bear with me. Angus Robertson. Old people dying. That's a Google search and a half. Oh, let's share this tab. Let's remind ourselves of exactly who the SNP are. Another comment on the YouTube. Hi. Thanks for the comments. Appreciate it. Give it a like as well, because we're getting into the actual stuff that I didn't mind talking about. Can't really talk about these stabbing sprees. They just happen so often, but because I'm now emotionally attached, it's, you can't help but empathize. To the point of emotional pain. Anyway, let's remind ourselves who the Bodywell SNP are. They are scum of the highest order. They are reprobates of the highest order. They are a gaggle of sex pests. They are a gaggle of drug-taking lunatics. That's who the SNP are. That's who we know them to be. They're a bunch of corrupt losers who can't take a loss. You know what I mean? They always want to play, but they never want to lose. System of a Down. So Angus Robert, slated for saying elderly deaths are a gain for independence amid the pandemic. And this went back further than the pandemic, by the way. I'll get another article up. But can you imagine having the drug-addled brain, the ridiculous, corrupted mind of Angus Robertson saying we just need elderly people to die? It's actually the death of our elderly here in Scotland is a gain for independence. He should have been struck off. It should have been struck off, never to return to public life. But in fact, he still earns a huge salary. Up here we call him Air Miles Angus because he's always around. We're paying for holidays for this guy. I'm pretty sure it was this guy who had a transgender person working in his office, who then in turn transpired to be blackmailing people. It just gets, these people are so seedy, so destitute of any dignity that there's nothing left. They're a shell of a person. I don't even know how you can survive in the SNP without taking hardcore drugs on a regular level. You know what I mean? It's just insane. These people are so drug addled, it's daft. And maybe that's where they get all their shooting galleries ideas from. Maybe we should just let the public shoot up heroin. Maybe we should just let them take crack cocaine. In fact, we'll facilitate that by putting up a facility. Maybe this is where they get their ideas when they're smoking their crack pipes. Honestly, I wouldn't trust anyone in the SNP as far as I could throw them. They're disgusting, troughing scum. And this is, I mean, that's as scummy as a statement that you're ever going to read. Angus Roberts slated, is that it? For saying elderly deaths are a gain for independence amid the pandemic. So this is the thing with the SNP. This is what I'm going to get to. Because not only can you change demographics by, I don't know, I mean, allowing old people to die. You have to understand that the elderly people here in Scotland were the reason why independence didn't pass. And you might ask, oh, these old people, it's all their fault. They're not letting the young people get on. These old people, as you get older, you get wiser. As you get older, you get wiser. This is why they wanted them gone. This is why it's a gain for independence if elderly people die. The wisest in our society. That's why it's a gain for independence, because there's less wise people in Scotland that can say, you're talking bullshit. You're selling us a bridge to nowhere. You are a charlatan. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why they wanted elderly people dead. And it's, again, not going to get conspiratorial here, but why were a huge amount of elderly people allowed to die in our care homes when the pandemic happened? Let's bring up that story as well. Bear with me, guys. And I truly believe that Sturgeon and the then Health Secretary should be held fully to account for the deaths during the pandemic. Well, I wish it was loading. Here we go. Now let's share this one instead. So it gets more. There's more fuel to the fire for this. No, I don't think I'll be taking part in this later. No. Oh, SNP catastrophically failed residents as care home deaths figures published. In 2021, Sturgeon and SNP catastrophically failed at protecting the lives of care home residents during the COVID-19 pandemic, Scottish Labour has said, after the full extent of care home deaths were published for the first time. So you couple that with this, with the fact it's a gain for independence if old people die here in Scotland. And what do you get? Well, if you add 2 and 2 together in Scotland, it comes to 5 because everything's upside down. But in my mind, this is the perfect recipe for the SNP. Oh, pandemic hits, a lot of old people die. Angus Robertson says it's a gain. Even this statement should have had him strucken off. Doesn't deserve to be in public life after this. Does not deserve it one iota. But there's more on this as well. Angus Robertson, because he said it before. He said it before the pandemic, too. Let's see this. Let's share this tab. So this was before the pandemic. A new low. SNP's Angus Robertson blasted for disgraceful comments over young independence voters replacing dying no voters. So this guy, if you see him in the street, please do spit at him because he deserves it. Top Nat Angus Robertson has been blasted for disgraceful comments about elderly no voters dying and being replaced by young indie voters. SNP's former Westminster leader, Jesus, spoke of the changes in opinion across the country since the 2014 referendum. Recent polls have shown Scots back more Scots back independence, with Nicola Sturgeon saying Brexit, blah, blah, blah. This is back in 4 years ago. You get the point. And what I'm going to say, and we'll just we'll bring this down for a second. What other means do you have of artificially inflating, artificially changing the demographic in order to suit independence? Well, we know that it's prioritised by younger voters. Because, as I've mentioned before, the older you get, the wiser you become. So Angus Robertson saying, old people dying off, fantastic. Fantastic that old people are dying off. It's fantastic that the people who died during the pandemic were old people, because that'll help us. It's fantastic. What other means of demographic change would suit the SNP? Oh, well, it's immigration. It's immigration. And what does John Swinney want? He wants immigration for Scotland. Obviously. So not only are they crossing their fingers and saying, old people, please die, which is effectively wishing your granny dead, your granddad dead. I hope your granny dies so we get independence over the line. I hope so. That's what the SNP are saying, behind closed doors in secret. Or unless you're Angus Robertson, you just say it right out in the open. Because he's a drug-addled lunatic. So this is where we're going. You couple all this together. This is their only route to independence. And this is why I've said they never got over the 2014 referendum loss. They never got over it. They could never internalise the loss. Alex Salmond at least did. He got over it. He had some dignity left to resign. But this new SNP, they want to change demographics. They want older people to die off. They want an influx of younger people in order to pave this yellow brick road to nowhere. That's why they want more immigrants. And this is why John Swinney is wanting immigrants. Don't listen to the, it's for economic growth chat. Is it hell? It's for voters, because people are so fed up of the SNP. They're starting to see through the fact they're just a bunch of corrupt charlatans. That's the truth. They need to cross their fingers and hope old people die, and they need to import voters in order to change the demographics enough that they can remain in power. Can you imagine how nefarious that plan actually is? How evil you would have to be that you disregard your own populace, that you think, actually, I can't wait for our citizens to die, our elderly citizens to die, and on top of that, we're going to flood your country with immigrants that'll decimate your communities. the crime will go up, drug taking will go up. It's so evil. But what do we expect for the most evil party in British politics, the SNP? You know, and this is no exaggeration, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an exaggeration at all. This is exactly the playbook for the SNP. Cross your fingers and hope your granny dies, and bring in migrants to outvote you, to cancel out your vote. That's what they like to do, and that's what they're going to do. And John Swinney, full-blown John, just wants more migrants for Scotland. You know, and he makes this speech on the same day that this attack in Germany happens, just as a backdrop, you know. So I think they've given up. I think John Swinney and the SNP, they've given up on waiting for old people to die. They've given up. And they want to import voters, because that's the way they roll. That's the way they roll. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And we'll see if we can play this.
My agenda in government is about making sure Scotland's a successful country, and we've got to have a growing Scottish economy to make that possible. One of the key factors that will affect that is the size of our population.
Look at the guy. Look at the guy. Look at him. Look at the way he's speaking. It's like this is for TikTok. Hello. Hello. We need to increase the size of our population. Isn't that true? Look at him. This guy is a shell. It's horrendous.
And we need to boost our working age population.
And this is the thing with SNP. Someday, some fantastic individual got me a hold of all the internal documents that the SNP use for campaigning. All their internal documents. The way they canvass, the way they put out social media, the way they do this, the way they do that. Step 1, A to Z. I got it all. And I read through it, and it was like SNP University. And the literacy rate that you would need to be to read it and understand it, you could be a toddler. They treat their own supporters as if they're idiots. You know, let's use bold colours. Bold colours, and when you're out canvassing, make sure you get a picture of you outside, make sure there's a lot of people there, and say fantastic reception on the doors, stronger for Scotland, when in reality it's a lot of crap. And I've seen it firsthand in the Rutherglen by-election. There's a video of me outside their campaign office in Rutherglen, and you know, a photographer came up. He's like, and this was very funny. A wee anecdote for the Rutherglen by-election. I'll never forget it, because I thought I was in like MI5 or something. It was so hilarious. You know, I'm on the streets of Rutherglen, and I was in the same place every week. I've got a stall. I've got my banners. I've got my big signs up. And this photographer comes by, and he's like, "Psst. Hamza Yousaf's going to be around the corner in 5 minutes." As he's walking past me, he's like, "Hamza around the corner in 5 minutes." Hamza's around the corner in 5 minutes. You know, under his breath, because clearly he wanted to help me by telling me that Hamza's in the corner, so that I could go and confront him again. And what happened? We go around the corner, and he changes the direction that he's coming in, so that I kind of get a proper confrontation. You know, he's got a bit shielded. And the thing is, this campaign office in Rutherglen, it was like you couldn't see in. It was boarded up by signs. You know what I mean? It's just like they just didn't want you to see exactly what's happening inside. And when maybe somebody can dig up the video, but when Humza arrived at the Rutherglen by-election, their campaign office, what they've done is they've packed this wee tiny office full of SNP supporters and, you know, members of Scottish Parliament, you name it. They've packed it with as much people as they possibly can. Humza walks in, and for 5 minutes, for 5 whole minutes, they're like, oh yeah, as soon as he walks in, they're all clapping, clap, clap, clap. This is our candidate, blah, blah, blah. And then 5 minutes later, they're all gone. You know, and they use that video. And it's so fake. I mean, it's all politics, but the SNP are so disgustingly fake. They're a marketing agency. That's all they are. No substance, nothing. Vacuous, empty, hollow shells of human beings. And look at all the bright colours.
A key way and a key step we can take is by having a graduate visa approach, which will enable students to come from other countries to stay in Scotland to be educated, but then to carry on and live here for a bit longer to contribute to the Scottish economy.
Well, when we look at the state of Scottish universities, it's just chock full of Chinese students. And do you think the CCP in China are just going to allow their students to provide us with their expertise? No, they're going back to China, ladies and gentlemen. The vast majority of students, foreign students, fee-paying foreign students in Scotland are Chinese. I'll tell you that for a fact. There's, you know, you look at the graduate list for Glasgow University, and it's effectively, it's like spot, the Western name. It's all Chinese. And even they had a secret Chinese jail. A secret Chinese jail in Glasgow. How are the Chinese government allowed to operate a secret jail under the streets of Sauchiehall Street? You think you're living in a dystopian universe. You think you're living in some crazy made-up world where these things occur. No, this is real life, ladies and gentlemen. So Swinney is barking up the wrong tree here. It's never going to happen. And it's all about immigration. We need immigration for growth, which is just crap. And I was watching a show earlier on, and they're saying, well, how do you even define growth, John? I don't know. Just mere people, I suppose. It doesn't know. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think that this is the SNP plan all along. And we'll go back and we'll sort of recap it, because we've got a lot of new viewers tuning in. Quite a lot more. So we'll start sharing this again. First of all, you have to understand the SNP, and sorry for reiterating this for the people who have been with us the entire time, but for the new people, for all those joining us now, because we're almost at 400 viewers, guys. Thank you very much. And please do keep sharing the broadcast. We've still got Lightspeed Trump coming up, and we've still got to read the papers. And some of these stories in the papers are wild. So the SNP never ever got over the fact that they lost the 2014 referendum. Alex Salmond had the dignity stepped in, but in came Nicola Sturgeon. And what do they need? They never gave up on their dream of independence, did they? So what they actually went at the numbers and says, what actually needs to happen here for us to get the votes in order to get independence over the line for the next time round, or even the third time round? because these people are absolute batshit crazy. Batshit crazy, the SNP. But what they need to do, first of all, we need old people to die off, says Angus Robertson. Says it, well, he said it prior to the pandemic as well. He said it's a good thing that we need elderly people to die off. The same as wishing your gran dead. We need elderly people to die off. A pandemic will help that. It's a gain for independence. A gain, according to Angus Robertson. And couple that. So you're bringing down the population of people who are going to vote no. You're elderly. You're wise elderly people. And you're importing votes. You're importing votes. And there you've got it. Now they've got the votes to get the independence over the line. That is their evil, evil plan. That is their evil plan. And they sit there and they say we're stronger for Scotland while selling native Scots down the river. The polluted rivers. They're selling native Scots down the polluted, drug-addicted rivers. There was the stuff on the Clyde. They'd done a test on the Clyde and they said it was one of the most drug-filled rivers in the entire UK. I'm not surprised. So the SNP are selling native Scots down the polluted rivers. Just doesn't get any better than that. But here we go. That was Swinney Hates Scots. And then we're going to go to a wee bit of Trump. We've done a huge big segment on Trump, and we compared Trump's inauguration speech to the UK, because it's very, very applicable. The West is facing the same problems right over, but the US is the leading example. So we need a Trump figure here in the UK. Is it Farage? Who knows? At the moment, he seems to be the leading contender. But I think I'll probably go another half an hour, if that, and we'll get to Trump's executive orders. Lightspeed Trump, I'm calling it. Lightspeed Trump. Let's present and share screen. And there is a funny video in this. Believe me, it is hilarious. Just to take the edge off. 6 Trump executive orders to watch. And in classic BBC fashion. You'll see what I mean. Trump signed sweeping executive orders on his return to the US presidency, vowing swift action on some of its top campaign issues. Among the directives that have gained the most popular publicity are an immigration crackdown, rollbacks of some climate-friendly policies. But some presidential power has their limits, and in some cases they face hurdles before the plans can come to reality. Here are 6 of Trump's eye-catching actions with analysis from BBC reporters. And the clip I've got later on is hilarious, involving BBC reporters. And it's insane that it's not went viral. But you'll see it here on the Niall Fraser Show. We pick up on the things that should have went viral but didn't. So he's declaring drug cartels as foreign terrorist organisations. And the BBC deems this challenging. How's that going to be challenging? What are the roadblocks? Designating a cartel as a terrorist group could open the door to prosecuting US citizens or even legitimate businesses found to be somehow tied to those groups. The designation could also strain relations with countries including Mexico. Mexico, hello. They've got their own problems with the cartels. Have you seen Narcos? Have you read anything about Pablo Escobar? I'm pretty sure Mexico know exactly how bad the cartels are. And look at pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. Thank God. And it couldn't come quicker. And look, the BBC saying it's very deliverable. Very deliverable. Roadblocks? No roadblocks, really. Any country can withdraw from the Global Climate Act, but UN regulations mean the process of removing a country can be drawn out. Trump announced his attempt to withdraw as the last step in 2016, but it was not formally finalised until 2022. We expect another waiting period this time. And Joe Biden rejoined it shortly after taking office in 2021. This is the thing with executive orders where the next president comes in and just cancels out all your good work. Biden just cancels out all the good work of Trump. Cancels it out. What else? Ending birthright citizenship. Absolutely fantastic. We should do that here in Britain. You don't get citizenship just because you've been born here. And you get, all these pregnant women flying into the US to give birth there. Why? Birthright citizenship. Pregnancy tourism. And that's how it works. You're pregnant, you're 8 months pregnant, get yourself on a plane to America and get yourself some citizenship. Well, not anymore. Not according to Trump. Oh, but it's tough to deliver. According to the BBC, tough to deliver that one. Withdrawn from the WHO. Everyone's screaming about this on social media. Fantastic. The WHO, the same organisation that was advising and quarterbacking the COVID response. And what a calamity that was. From the vaccines to the lockdowns to every single aspect of the COVID lockdowns. The pandemic was despicable. And everyone is raving about that one. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico. It's deliverable. It's deliverable according to the BBC. And, just rename it. Boom, we've changed the name. It's delivered. And here we go. The US recognises two sexes, male and female. Well, actually, it said two genders. Because there is only two sexes, but there is only two genders as well. And there is no distinction between the two. Gender and sex is the same thing. Oh, it's challenging, apparently. What a lot of crap. Oh, there'll be likely a human rights campaign which represents LGBTQ plus XYZ people, and we will fight against the harmful provisions. What a lot of crap. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Multiple gender club. We've got two genders. Anything above that is deception. Anything above that is deception. In fact, we've got this one. And we'll look at some of his... can I add this to the stage? There we go. Government. So what's the 26 orders on his first day? Renames. Oh my God, I'm clicking too much. Where did that go? Where did it go? Oh no, I'm clicking stuff. Anyway, start. Immigration changes rules to prevent automatic citizenship for children born in the US if their parents are in the country illegally or even temporarily. Thank God. Easy fix. Easy fix. Check that one off the list. The guy is moving at light speed. This is just day one, ladies and gentlemen. Day one. Declare a national emergency, energy emergency to improve the US energy supply. Because they'll be importing too much fuel. They've got it right under their feet. Why would they? Why would they jack the price of gas, as they call it in America, but we call it petrol and diesel, crude oil? Why would they have to import that when they've got it all sitting under their feet? And why would they overcharge their own citizens for that? Perfect. Next, what an incredible economy fixing thing that would be. What if the petrol price, it wasn't like £1.30, £1.40 a litre. If it was just like 50 pence, even if it was slashed to 20, but it would be insane, the economic output, because we're paying every turn of the wheel in the car, every turn of the wheel in the truck, every idling car on the M8, every idling car on the M74. It's burning money, burning time. burning tax money. Foreign policy designates the international cartels and organizations as foreign terrorist organizations. Fantastic. Border security directs the military to focus on securing US borders, stopping illegal immigration and drug trafficking. Fantastic. Very sensible. Why was this not done before? Who knows? Energy encourage development of Alaska's resources like oil, gas, and minerals. Fantastic. They've got too much up there, and there's just raw wilderness. Social ends diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) and related programs in the federal government. Fantastic. Let's not see race in the clouds like Hamza Yusuf does every morning. Let's not wake up and think that race is the ultimate arbiter of everything, as Hamza Yusuf does. Let's not do that. That turns you into a despicable, horrible, scummy human being, like Hamza Yusuf. Government establishes the Department of Government Efficiency to modernise federal technology. Fantastic. Doge, because we all know the government can just splurge money at a whim and nothing ever happens. And there's no redress and there's no going back. You can't unspend the money. Like a Scottish example, like the deposit, the bottle deposit return scheme that the Greens in their infinite wisdom divined up. What happened there? Oh, it was just millions of pounds down the drain. And likely the Scottish government will get sued by the people who had to implement all these changes that ended up not happening. Just farcical. We should be recouping this money after the Green Party. Communication. Federal government to stop censoring people's speech online. It's fantastic. Of course, you cannot censor people. The bedrock of any healthy society is free speech. I wish we had that in Britain. I wish we did. Communication makes it easier to remove federal workers in policy roles if they perform poorly or act against policies. This is the thing with the establishment. They talk about deep state. It's all these civil servants. We've got a battalion of civil servants in the UK that are just immovable. The same in America. They're planted there for 20, 30 years. Their politics doesn't change, but the presidency does. And they just go about, they just don't implement stuff, apparently. Regulation pauses enforcement on a ban on TikTok for 75 days to review the security concerns. Foreign policy pauses US foreign aid for 90 days to review and ensure alignment with US interests. Oh my God. What if we'd done that in Britain? If we just stopped foreign aid for 90 days? Wow. It would be incredible. In fact, just went through them. Highlight that, cross that out. We didn't want to, like Rupert Lowe talks about all the time. Let's stop sending money to Pakistan. Let's not allow the Scottish government to send money to Pakistan for gender studies. It makes no sense. It's just clearly money laundering. Gender recognises only biological sex in federal policy, ending gender ideology. And I do have a PDF here as well, and we'll share this one and we'll go through just one of them. The main one, the one that everyone talks about. Executive order. And let's make this full screen so you can read it, ladies and gentlemen. You can't say I'm not helpful. Executive order defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government. What a title. And this is what needs to happen. In Scotland, in Scotland, we've got a story later on in the paper that would make you furious. It would make you absolutely furious. Changes made to how the federal government recognises gender has a wide-ranging impact on immigration, from paperwork to detention centres, significantly increasing the hardship and risks for transgender and non-binary citizens. This order directs government agencies to recognise only two sexes, male and female, in all of its policies and procedures. Agencies are required to submit a report to the President on their progress within 120 days. As it relates to immigration, the following action will be impacted. I mean, and they're just going through every single aspect of this. But it's so fantastic. Listen to this title again. Listen to the title of this. Executive Order Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. Jesus. That is absolutely sublime. Absolutely sublime. Whoever wrote that needs a race. Right, and I did promise you some funny videos before we went into the papers. We'll do. I think I'll do the papers last every time. But almost at 400 viewers, guys. Thank you so much. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, I'm trying to promote that. Trying desperately to promote that. But I mean, looking at the numbers, it looks like X is just going to win it out all the time. 400 viewers and 395 are from X. So why even bother about YouTube? Anyway, I did promise some funny videos, and I will satisfy. So do you remember this guy? Jacob Chansey, his name, but it also went by the QAnon Shaman. Who could forget? Who could forget the QAnon Shaman? Well, fresh from being pardoned by Trump, another one of his executive orders was pardoning these January 6ers who were clearly stitched up. January 6ers were clearly stitched up. We've seen them. It was like a walking tour of the Capitol. The police were ushering them in. Come on in. It wasn't an insurrection like they tried to say. It was a tour of the building. So let's share this tab and we'll get up the funny video for this evening. Because God knows we need it, don't we? God knows we need it. Here it is. So let's pause it here. Let's put it up. Let's make sure that the audience is getting it. Right, guys, are you ready for the funny video of the evening? And this comes from, who does it come from? How do I get this down here? So, Harry Krishna, at Down with the SNP, thank you so much for picking up this video. Because it is an absolute golden nugget. So, Jacob Chansey, otherwise known as the QAnon Shaman, fresh out of prison, is on BBC. Is this BBC Scotland? You can't be serious. Well, let's see what he's got to say.
Just a little while ago.
Not just that, I've been vindicated more than once, dear. And the BBC has its reputation in the gutter. You guys covered up Jimmy Savile for years. You covered up the rape gangs for years. You guys got the Dorian Gray image right in front of you. You got your own painting right in front of you. I mean, it's no offense. It's what you guys deserve as an institution. I don't know if you're one of the people that covered this stuff up, but I mean, you guys, you all know what you did over the last several decades. You know who you've been protecting.
I've spent years covering abuse of young women and young men as it happens. But anyway, not long after you...
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Did you cover the rape gangs or did you help cover that up? Did you cover Jimmy Savile while he was doing all that stuff to those children with special needs?
Jake,
or did you cover the fact that Prince Andrew went to Epstein Island?
Not long after you were jailed, you said...
Just absolutely glorious. Absolutely glorious. I mean, this guy, fresh out of prison, being pardoned by the president, QAnon Shaman, is going after the BBC. I mean, they've made a huge mistake getting this guy on the BBC because he's just showing them up crazily. And let's watch it one more time just for hilarity's sake. And listen to the end of it. Did you cover Prince Andrew going to Epstein Island? Hilarious. Let's get me out of the picture. Let's watch it in its full glory.
A little while ago.
Not just that, I've been vindicated more than once, dear. And the BBC has its reputation in the gutter. You guys covered up Jimmy Savile for years. You covered up the rape gangs for years. You guys got the Dorian Gray image right in front of you. You got your own painting right in front of you. I mean, it's no offense. It's what you guys deserve as an institution. I don't know if you're one of the people that covered this stuff up, but I mean, you all know what you did over the last several decades. You know who you've been protecting.
I've spent years covering abuse of young women and young men as it happens. But anyway, not long after you...
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. No, did you cover the rape gangs, or did you help cover that up? Did you cover Jimmy Savile while he was doing all that stuff to those children with special needs?
Jake,
or did you cover the fact that Prince Andrew went to Epstein Island?
Not long after you were jailed, you...
Just absolutely sublime, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure that warmed your cockles. Absolutely, the BBC getting rinsed by fresh out of prison QAnon shaman. Absolutely sublime, absolutely glorious, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the funny video of the day. But there is another Trump video. We do have more. This one tickled my interest.
Mr. President, last month I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Now I came back with 500. Because this is as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America. This is one great example, I think, right? We wouldn't have decided to do this.
I think so.
This is the beginning of golden age. We wouldn't have decided unless you won. And yesterday we agreed, we signed to make this happen.
Great.
Because of this day.
Very nice.
So we would make this happen. We would immediately start deploying $100 billion with the goal of making $500 billion within next 4 years, within your term, right? Because of your success.
Just astounding here. Just astounding. These are the figures that this guy's working with here. Can you imagine? Do me a favor and write down 100 billion on a bit of paper. How many zeros? It's unbelievable. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is the new space race. This is the new space race, is AI. As I understand it, the more money you put in AI, the better. The more computing power. The more money you put in AI, the more computing power that you give it, the more powerful it becomes. As I understand it. So this is the new space race. AI. And sadly, the UK is lagging behind. I mean, you could probably argue about the positives and the negatives of AI on society. Automation, the fact it's probably going to rob 99% of people of their jobs. The creative industry is probably going to die out. You've seen all these AI image generators pop up over the last few years. You've seen, ChatGPT writing essays for people in schools. You can argue about the positives and negatives, but this is the new space race. And, I promised 100 billion and he told me 200 billion. It's so funny. Why no 200 billion? The whole thing's insane. Let's see if we've got any more Trump stuff. This one I bookmarked because if you have remembered, the last show we were talking about the last minute pardons that Biden made as he was departing, the 11th hour pardons. Well, let's watch this.
Mr. Speaker, to potentially have any type of congressional action on the pardons that President Biden issued over the last couple of days?
It was shocking. I mean, it was It was shocking what President Biden did on the way out, pardoning his family for more than a decade of whatever activity, any nonviolent offenses. It was breathtaking to us. I don't think that's anything like that's ever been anticipated. And by the way, go look at the tape, 4 years ago, when it was just implied that President Trump might do something similar. They were apoplectic. Joe Biden himself, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, roll the tape. They all said that would be crazy and unconscionable. And now they're cheering it along. To us, it is disgusting. To us, it probably proves the point, the suspicion that, they call it the Biden crime family. If they weren't the crime family, why do they need pardons, right? Look, there's a lot of attention that's going to be paid to this, and I think that is appropriate, and we will be looking at it as well.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So even after Biden's 11th hour pardons, the heat is not off. The heat is not off on the Biden crime family. And hopefully, it says Fauci too in the Twitter. Fauci was pardoned as well as General Mark Milley, going back to 2014. Why? Why was Anthony Fauci pardoned in the first place? What possible criminality could he have gotten up to that he required a presidential pardon minutes before Joe Biden left office? That's a good question to be asking. I'm looking through my bookmarks, and actually I've failed you this evening because I've failed to bring up this twat, James O'Brien, and the fact that they're blaming Amazon for the Southport killer. This is where he bought his knife. They're calling it the 2-click killer. This is such shifting of the blame. It's insane. Labour know that they've got so much heat on them about this story that they need to shift the blame somewhere. And incredibly, they're now shifting the blame to Amazon. What a colossal joke. And there's a few, we'll listen to James O'Brien's ravings, but this is another funny one. Keir Starmer to shut down Curry's after finding out Jeffrey Dahmer used to put severed heads in a fridge. Crazy stuff.
It was on Amazon that the Southport killer bought his knife. Amazon, of course, is owned by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos was sitting in the row behind Donald Trump at the latter's inauguration. The man who owns the platform that still hosts and holds the footage that the Southport killer looked before he set off to that Taylor Swift dance class, he was not just sitting in the row directly behind Donald Trump. He is the guy that got on stage and did the Nazi salutes. So I am not given to hyperbole, but the aligning of these planets is at the very least notable. But what the hell can a British government do to rein them in?
Let's get him after it. We're going to do the papers. I think we're watching in almost real time. You could probably watch LBC if you tune into James O'Brien. One, a fear for your mental capacity, but two, I think we're seeing the real time mental breakdown of James O'Brien, and I'm calling it the now. He shouldn't be on air. The guy is not mentally stable. Shouldn't be on air. Right, let's get to the papers because we want to end the show within the next 10 minutes. So this was the Tuesday's paper. Killers jail sex row, and it comes after Trump's just unilaterally said that there's two genders. Presidential order protecting women against gender ideology and affirming biological truth. It's absolutely sublime. Anyway, killers jail sex row. Let's delve into this story because it's just bizarre in the extreme. Sorry for the rustling. Killers in trans jail sex storm. What's a child killer and her trans lover claim they have been subjected to a 4-year hate campaign in jail. Oh, woe betide them. Naomi Fee who killed her toddler stepson, and Alex Stewart, who changed gender after being jailed for murder, have accused another prisoner of branding them the tranny and the beast. Hairdresser Janie Sutherland, who killed a man with scissors, faces charges of persecuting Stewart, formerly known as Alan Baker, and Fee with abusive remarks between 2019 and 2023. Sutherland, 51, is also accused of encouraging other prisoners at HMP Greenock's all-female wing to join in the abuse. She's pled not guilty to all charges at Greenock Sheriff Court. Stewart, 36, has lived at HMP Greenock as a woman since 2016, despite having no surgery other than Adam's apple reduction. Well, one, we've got men in women's jails still, an all-female prison here in Scotland. We've still got men in them because Scotland's upside down. Left is right, the sky is the sea, up is down. It's just madness here in Scotland, just internalised retardation. I'll just read that one again. Stewart, 36, has lived at HMP Greenock as a woman since 2016, despite having no surgery other than Adam's apple reduction. A tearful Stewart told the court of suicidal feelings after alleged homophobic outbursts by Sutherland, including being told she should sing Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" at a Christmas karaoke. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. With Tranny and the Beast. How about you sing Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" at the karaoke? What an absolute farce we've got here in Scotland. What an absolute farce. Stewart told the court the abuse started in 2019, shortly after Sutherland was moved to Greenock's jail's Darrock Hall. She said, "I was sitting with her doing exercises, and she referred to a previous job when she was working with trannies. It's not something in my vocabulary or in the vocabulary of other women in the hall. On numerous occasions, she would refer to me as he or him. That belittled me because that is not how I identify, and it's not who I am." What a disgrace Scotland is. "I identify as a trans female," Stewart claimed. She was hounded by Sutherland between 2019 and 2023, and she would continually laugh and say she was disgusted by people who were trans or people who identified as gay or lesbian. Stewart and Naomi Fee, a lesbian, became a couple in 2019, the court held. Stewart claimed Janie often referred to us as the tranny and the beast, or beastie balls, or as the tranny and the dyke. I was appalled. Appalled! In the summer of 2021, Stewart claimed that Sutherland was in the relationship with a man prisoner housed in another part of the jail, shouted out loudly about Fee. "Why can she sit with her man when I can't sit with mine?" Stewart said, "I tried to laugh it off as best as I could, but I was feeling angry and very upset by the comments." And this is a child killer. The first thought that went through my head was, should I just commit suicide? Another flare-up was witnessed by renowned artist Gerard Burns, who was doing an arts workshop in the prison in 2022. Stewart said, "Janie Sutherland referred to my artwork as the tranny show, and after the artist Gerard Burns favoured work I had done." At Christmas 2022, another alleged flashpoint happened at the prison karaoke night. You just think this is just so bizarre. This story is just so bizarre. You know, there's a flashpoint at the prison karaoke. Stewart said Janie Sutherland made a comment at karaoke saying, "I should sing 'Man, I Feel Like a Woman.' She was referring to my trans identity. She wouldn't refer to me by name or gender pronouns, just thingy." Stewart also claimed that Sutherland had loudly accused her of sexually assaulting one prisoner and raping another, In cross-examination, Paul Lynch, defendant, asked if Stewart had undergone gender reassignment surgery. Stewart said the only procedure she had done been a tracheal shave, which reduces Adam's apple. Mr. Lynch added, if a person had a genuine belief that you were a biological male, would that be correct? Stewart said she was not at court to discuss matters of sexual identity. Of course. Of course. Stewart also faced claims in cross-examination. So this is, if you can imagine, a child killer is what, a trans, and she's getting heckled in the jail by other prisoners, calling her tranny and the beast. Thingy, she's been told to sing Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman at the prison karaoke. And this ends up in our courts. This ends up in the courts. Are you serious, ladies and gentlemen? Scotland is not a serious country. It's not a serious place. It's so bizarre. Are you getting this? Are you getting this, ladies and gentlemen? This is just madness. This has ended up in our courts. Tranny and the beast. It just gets crazy. She wasn't there to discuss matters of sexual identity. Stewart was also faced claims in cross-examination that no complaints had been made about Sutherland's conduct until 2023 at the time of a scandal erupting over the case of Isla Bryson. The case exposed how double rapist, formerly known as Adam Graham, declared himself to be a woman and was heading to a women's prison until a major review was launched after a huge storm ignited in the media. The review involved risk assessments for all trans prisoners in the Scottish prison estate, which created the possibility of trans prisoners being transferred to a male jail. The trial also heard from another convicted killer, Lynette Greenup, who was jailed for a minimum of 23 years in 2018 after being convicted of her sister Sharon's murder in Ayrshire. Greenup was asked if she was being persuaded to join Stewart and Fee, her friends, in making claims about Sutherland, who she'd fallen out with. When questioned, Greenup told the court that she had never witnessed Sutherland make transphobic statements in front of Stewart or Fee. Stewart, who was then Alan Baker, had ended up in jail in 2013 after being sentenced to at least 19 years behind bars for repeatedly knifing father to John Weir, 36. In 2016, it was revealed that Stewart was living as a woman behind bars and wore a padded bra and makeup on the female wing. This is just so crazy. I've got a comment. Let's see if the comment is Tranny and the Beast. Tranny and the Beast. It's just absolute madness here in Scotland. Madness. We've got... Right. Let's finish this story up and then we'll cap it up. This is just the best story I think I've ever read. And it just showcases just how daft, just how crazy situation is here in Scotland. Just how bizarre our whole prison system is, our court system, everything about it. Stewart, who was also then Alan Baker, who ended up in jail in 2013 after being sentenced to at least 19 years behind bars for repeatedly knifing father to John Weir, 36. In 2016, it was revealed that Stewart was living as a woman behind bars and wore a padded bra and makeup on the female wing. Naomi Free, 37, is serving 24 years after she and a civil partner, Rachel Treffler, 34, were convicted for killing Treffler's son, Liam, in 2014, following horrific... Listen to this. Horrific campaign of neglect and abuse. Sutherland was jailed for 6 years in 2020 for the culpable homicide of Alistair McFarlane in a flat in Paisley. The single charge against her claims she behaved in a threatening and abusive manner using transphobic and homophobic abuse, threats of violence. She was also accused of inciting others to utter offensive remarks and make spurious complaints. The trial continues. The trial continues. Dominic James. First comment on X. I've got a newspaper article, Isla Bryson hanging on my wall in the hallway. Bit weird, but thanks for the comment. Bit weird, Dominic. Bit weird. So, let's recap this story because it is absolutely mental. A child killer is in jail. She's a man. He's a man. A man killed a child. They're in jail. Somebody in the jail is then calling her tranny and the beast. They're calling her thingy. They said to her, you should maybe sing Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman at the prison karaoke. And all this results in a court case. Scotland isn't a serious place, is it, ladies and gentlemen? It is not a serious place. She referred to us as Tranny and the Beast. Well, I didn't think you expected that this evening, but I did say it was a crazy story. Now on to today's paper. Because this is more like it. This is more, I mean, Scotland is not a serious place. Look at that, Peter Murrell. We've not seen him on the front page of a paper in a while until Nicola Sturgeon broke up with him, divorced. Proceeds of crime unit hit Sturgeon's ex. Special Crown Office officials behind the move against Peter Murrell. Former SNP chief is banned from selling couples' marital home. Ooh, he's banned. Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband, Peter Murrell, has been barred from selling their home under proceeds of crime officials' orders. So it looks like they're making the move on the SNP, and it looks like Nicola Sturgeon. And we'll see if we can find the bookmark. It looks like Nicola Sturgeon has gotten out at exactly the right time. It's like she's divorced Peter Murrell at exactly the right time. It's just absolutely insane how great her timing is. Or how great the Crown Office is. Their timing. Let me find. Because it was a few shows ago, ladies and gentlemen. Where is it? Where is it? Well, I don't think I have it. But if you recall, if you've been watching the show for the last few weeks, we talked about Sturgeon divorce. And Sturgeon's on the podium, and the journalist asked, when was it that you knew that your husband lent the SNP £100,000? I can't recall. What my husband does with his funds is his interests. You know, it's nothing to do with me. You know, what my husband does with his money is nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me, she says. Can't recall. So it looks like, judging by the sort of the weather in Scotland, it looks like Sturgeon's going to get away with it, and our man, Baldy Peter, is going to take the hit. Let's read pages 4 and 5. Ooh, that's the happy couple there. Proceeds of crime unit ban the sale of Sturgeon's marital home. I mean, isn't it her home as well? Has she not got a part share in it? Is she going to get it in a divorce? Is she going to get the police tent in the divorce? A proceeds of crime unit in the Crown Office was behind a ban on Nicola Sturgeon's husband's Peter Murrell selling property. The Daily Record can reveal. Documents also show the ban relates solely to the marital home former SNP First Minister and Murrell co-own near Glasgow. So it is still co-owned. Operation Brandstorm is the long-running blah, blah, blah. Murrell and the SNP chief at the time the chief executive at the time, while Sturgeon was party leader in the First Minister. The couple's home in Uddingston was raided in 2023, and Murrow was charged in connection with embezzlement in April last year. As revealed by the Record on the Sun on Saturday, weeks after Murrow was charged, Ward advocate Dorothy Bain pursued an inhibition against him. An inhibition is when an individual is prevented from selling property or from taking out loans on it. Official documents now provide more detail on the legal curb that is granted on June the 5th last year. One document shows the bar prevents Murrow from selling the home he and Sturgeon bought in 2005 for £228,000. It's the only property listed in the inhibition. The Ward advocate is named as the pursuer of the restriction on Murrow, but the agent for her was an individual at the Proceeds of Crime Unit in Edinburgh Procurator Fiscal's office. Bain recused herself from any part in branch form. Why? Bain recused herself from any part in branch form. A legal insider said she had no role in the inhibition, and her name appearing on it was a technicality. The Ward advocate is the head of the prosecution service and the top legal advisor to the Scottish Government. Documents also show that Messenger at Arms deposited a sealed envelope with the inhibition, as well as the debt advice and information package, at the house of the former CEO. A Messenger at Arms. Dropping off the documents was necessary, as after making inquiries, I had reasonable grounds for believing that Peter Murrow resides at that place, but was not available. The ban was granted by Lady Carmichael, who was appointed as a judge in 2016 by the late Queen, after recommended by Sturgeon. I'm not going to get off through this article. I'm just not going to do it. But you get the point. You get the point. I'd rather go back to the killer's jail sex route. I'd rather get back to that. But isn't it interesting timing that Nicola Sturgeon divorces Murrow? It's the news cycle for a week. What's happening next week? Oh, Murrow is banned from selling the house. Isn't it a coincidence? Again, Scotland is not a serious place. Absolutely not a serious place. Anyway, guys, we've had another fantastic show. If you could do me a favour, do fire out the YouTube. It's been firing along the bottom of the screen for a while now. YouTube.com at the Niall Fraser Show. Give me a subscription on that. It might be even a better quality of watch on YouTube. Maybe no rewatching, because I always get copyright strikes on my stuff. Always. They don't like my YouTube channel, so they don't. Anyway, guys, it's been a spirited discussion. I've went an hour 40. I'm taking the mince here. I should be in my bed. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, it's been a fantastic show. I wish you all the best. I hope you wake up bright and early tomorrow morning, and tomorrow is a fantastic day for you. But as always, we can't leave without the fantastic intro music and outro music. So, guys, thanks again for watching. What I will say before we finish up is you can support me. You can provide coffee beans at thecoffee.com /NiallFraser8. Every little helps. If you want to donate, that's fantastic. If you don't, that's that's fantastic as well. But if you don't, if you want to support me, but you can't provide the money, I know it's January. I know we've all just spent an absolute fortune on Christmas. So, I'm not too bothered about that. But if you can't donate monetarily, you can give me a like, you can give me a share. You can go up, pop onto the YouTube, make me know that what I'm doing, you're actually interested in. And eventually, we'll get to the bottom of this jail sex row. Right, guys, another great show. Thanks again for listening. We're almost 600 viewers live. I really do appreciate it. And, well, there's nothing left to say, but hit you within the outro music. So we're back again on Friday. We now run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. So you know where to find me. Right, guys, farewell and good night.